Hi everyone, it's Chris and welcome back to another video. Thank you very much for joining me. This is a vinyl finds video. I've not done one of these for a little while because for the last probably 6 weeks or so I haven't bought that much until the last week or so, and what I've got here is I've got about 10 records to share with you and one CD. So tell me what you think in the comments below. First up is Teaser by Bolan. Now, if you are a regular to this channel, you would know I've shown this before, but this is the 2024 remix, and it should be nice sounding. And I say should be, I'll come to the reason why it maybe isn't in a moment, but a nice reissue, very much like the original cover, slightly different on the back, same track listing. It's a gatefold, which is nice. He's a good-looking man, Bolan. Great guitarist. He played with Purple, James Gang, Zephyr. He played with Billy Cobham on Spectrum. Plays 4 songs on there. He could play it all. He could play blues. He could play jazz. He could play rock. He could sing ballads. But nice kind of looking version of this album with the lyrics and photographs on the inner sleeve, and it comes on this splatter vinyl. Now, I'm not a massive fan of coloured vinyl, but I thought I would say splash out. Originally this album was a lot more than I usually play, but when I played it, and it's brand new, when I played it, it was really crackly. I think this is essentially like a picture disc, and if you remember what the quality of those were like back in the day, they weren't very good. And this is just a note to self: don't buy coloured vinyl, just buy black vinyl. It's so much better. And so I've got this like almost picture disc kind of version of it, and it's just too crackly. And I contacted the person I bought it from and kind of complained about the quality, and he cut quite a bit of money off, from £25 down to 10. So in the end, I've added to my collection a 2024 remix of Bolan's Teaser for £10. So that's not too bad at all. Great album, a really essential album, but just not a very good version of it in terms of quality. Next up is another Deep Purple related album. Now, recently I did a video about my favourite songs from the Deep Purple members, the 15 members who have been part of the band, and I included Don Airey, and I think I mentioned Colosseum 2 and possibly Electric Savage as being a good example of his work outside of Purple. But I also bought this the other day. This is Don Airey, One of a Kind. It's a double album, 3 sides of studio songs, which are very Purple-like actually, with lots of kind of guitar and keyboard sort of interplay. Not bad at all. A decent vocalist on here, a guy called Carl Sentence, who really comes to the fore on the live side. And there are 4 songs on the bonus live side, which are Pictures of Home, the Deep Purple song, Since You've Been Gone and I Surrender, which obviously Don Airey played on, and with Rainbow. And then the last song is Still Got the Blues, the Gary Moore song, which Don Airey actually played on that album. And you know, the guitar playing is great. Obviously the keyboard player from Don Airey is great. The vocalist Carl Sentence, really good. In fact, there is a live album from this particular gig, and they do a version of Deep Purple's Child in Time, which is a very ambitious song to cover, but the vocalist Carl Sentence does a fantastic job of that, as does the guitar player in here, and that's a guy called Simon McBride, who is now the guitar player for Deep Purple. And I didn't have anything to show from him the other day when I did that Deep Purple video in terms of his solo material, so I put that right with a cheap CD. This was just £4 from Bristol Record Fair. I got some other stuff there which I'll show you in a second, but I bought this for £4. This is from I think 2011, 2012. It's a live album. It's called 9 Lives. I'm not sure where it's recorded. I think it's recorded in a variety of venues across the UK. Yeah, decent album. I think he comes over to me as a little bit like Joe Bonamassa, if you're familiar with his kind of stuff. But yeah, a reasonably good listen, that particular album. And obviously a very competent guitarist. So Simon McBride, now in Deep Purple, is from Belfast, as of course is Gary Moore. And I bought this one recently. This is from 1987, I think it is, a kind of Irish tinged album from Gary Moore. So Over the Hills and Far Away, Wild Frontier, Johnny Boy, very Irish tinged. There's a version of the Easy Beats Friday on My Mind, which is okay. The Loner, which is an instrumental, I think it's trying to capture the kind of success of Parisian Walkways possibly. I think what Gary Moore can do is he can salvage a pretty average song with some fantastic guitar playing, and this has got some absolutely fantastic guitar work on it. This guy was seriously good player. He could play it all as well, jazz, fusion, blues, rock. He was a great player. This one thing that this album really suffers from, on the credits it lists Gary Moore on guitar and a bassist and a keyboard player, but it doesn't list a drummer, and that's because it's a drum machine and it sounds like one, which is a real shame given how many good drummers Gary Moore has played with over the years. Next up is an album which is possibly collectible. It's the first, I think anyway, it's the first album on Vertigo. It's a Vertigo Swirl album. This is Colosseum and Valentine's Suite. So I got this for £8, which I thought was a pretty good bargain. The cover's got a few marks on it and so on, and the video, the vinyl is probably VG+, but it's not bad at all, and it's a really enjoyable listen. So this is the first album from Colosseum. I think it's the first album by them. Might not be. I think it's the first album by them from 1969. The first side's got 4 songs on it. It's kind of a mix of jazz and blues. There's a song that opens up the album called The Kettle, which has got some lovely wah-wah guitar. I can't remember the name of the guitarist, but some really nice guitar on that, and I think it's been sampled possibly by Fatboy Slim, that song. Butty's Blues is a blues song, but it's also got a kind of jazzy feel to it. And then you've got side 2, which is the Valentine Suite, which is one big kind of proggy, jazzy, bluesy kind of number. Yeah, really good. I think the person who comes to the fore on this actually is the keyboard player, Dave Greenslade, and on that side 2 he certainly would give the likes of Keith Emerson a run for the money. So yeah, decent album, and as I said, I think reasonably collectible. Anything on Vertigo seems to be collectible for some strange reason, so pleased to pick that up. Thinking about keyboard players, here's an album that's a little bit of a blind buy, but I was pleased I got it. This is called Departure from the Northern Wasteland by Michael Hernig. Now, he's a German keyboard player. This is from 77, although this is an 80s repress of it, so a slightly different cover from the 77, and this is very Tangerine Dreamy. So if you like that kind of stuff, that ambient, that kind of sequencer sort of sound, then you'd probably really like this. 1 track on side 1 and 3 tracks on side 2. I said it sounds very Tangerine Dream. He wasn't in Tangerine Dream as a recording artist, but did tour with them briefly when Peter Baumann left the band momentarily. And it sounds like he played with Tangerine Dream. It's very much in that ilk. He was in a band, I think, called Agitation Free, which I don't know anything about before this, and I think he's done quite a lot of film scores. But yeah, really good listen. Absolutely immaculate vinyl, which it has to be for this kind of music. Otherwise, you get the pops and crackles, and that takes away, especially in the quiet passages. Okay, so I went to Bristol Record Fair last week, which I haven't been to for about a year. In fact, I haven't been to any record fairs. I've not been to that many record shops, really. But I did go to Bristol Record Fair. One of my children lives up in Bristol, so we went up to see her as well. But I did manage to have a couple of hours at that fair. And one of the stalls has records for £5, which is great. And if you buy 5, it's £20, so £4 each. So I did find 5. So these are all £4 each. And so tell me what you think, if I got a bargain or not. So this one is, the first one I'll show you, is the album which I chose to make up the 5. It's okay. It's Uriah Heep and Wonderworld. So this is from the kind of mid-70s, one of the latter albums with the classic lineup. Yeah, it's okay. It's nowhere near Demons and Wizards or the debut or Salisbury. It's nowhere near as good as that. It's okay. There's 1 or 2 songs on it that I quite like. Again, I haven't listened to it that much. I only got it a few days ago. Suicidal Man's pretty good. Is it up there with their best? No. If I were going to do 20 greatest songs from Uriah Heep, I wonder whether or not any would make it from that album. I'm not sure. Okay, so that's the first of the 5. The second one was this one. I've never seen this before. This is Canned Heat, in 70, in concert, recorded live in Europe. So recorded all over Europe, France and Germany, Sweden, Switzerland, UK. A variety of songs. There's a cracking version of Let's Work Together on here, a couple of little medleys as well. It's a little bit of a muddy sound, but it's a really good album. I've got a thing about, I might do a video on these actually, of single live albums, because when you get a single live album, you inevitably don't get the whole concert, which seems a real shame. But that was quite a decent pickup. As I said, I've never seen it before. So if you've got it and you like it, tell me what you think. Or if you've got it and you don't like it, tell me what you think. Okay, another single live album. I've never seen this one before, but I snapped it up because I thought this would be great. This is 9 Below Zero and Live at the Venue. So this is an 80s album, but it's recorded in 79 and 1980 in a variety of places. So that I think this is, no, actually just at the Venue, I think, wherever that is. I guess it's in London. So recorded at a similar time to their debut album, which is Live at the Marquee, and there's a very similar track list. So Tore Down, Homework, Can't Help Myself, Riding on the L&M, I Can't Quit You Babe, Stormy Monday. So there's a lot of songs that replicate that debut live album they did in 78 or 77, but it's really good. It's like rhythm and blues played at 90 miles an hour. It's just good fun. They were a good, I'd love to have seen this band live. Good live band, good bluesy kind of stuff, so pleased to pick that up. Last two, and so this is BB King and Completely Well. I was really delighted to pick this up for £4. It's in decent condition. There's a few crackles and stuff. Inevitably, it's a VG Plus album. So there's going to be some little noises, but it's worth £4 just for The Thrill Is Gone, which closes the album. An absolute classic by BB King. And this is a good album. It's one of the recording engineer, is Bill Schmiznik. I never know how to say his name. I think he had something to do with the Eagles, didn't he? I'm not sure. But anyway, this is a decent album. It's got horns and brass stuff on it, which is okay, but I think his voice and his tone when he plays the guitar, just to die for, and The Thrill Is Gone. Well, it's worth £4 for that. And the last one I've got to show you is the debut album. In fact, it might be the only album that this guy did when he left Free. It's Paul Kossoff and an album called Backstreet Crawler. So his debut solo album. I think it's the only solo album he did because he died not long after this. So this, I really enjoyed this album. This is tremendous. I've been looking for this for a while, so I was really pleased to pick this up for £4. It's a UK first press of it as well. So it's got I'm Ready, which has got a guy called Jess Roden on vocals, does a good vocal job. There's Time Away, which has got Paul Kossoff, obviously Paul Kossoff, Tetsu Yamuchi, Simon Kirk on drums. John Martin plays on this, and I think Paul Kossoff toured with John Martin and does a really nice version of May You Never as well, which is on the CD version of this, which has got a 38-minute version of one of the songs on here. So I think it's one of the songs on here. There's a 38-minute kind of jam. Anyway, on one side of this vinyl is a song called Tuesday Morning, which is an instrumental, and it just showcases the brilliance of Paul Kossoff. He had such a great tone and touch and feel, brilliant guitarist, flawed through his drug habit, but a brilliant side of vinyl. Thoroughly enjoyed that, and it's worth £4 just for that one side of vinyl. So there you go, Paul Kossoff, Backstreet Crawler, debut solo album. And there's the albums that I've picked up recently, so tell me what you think in the comments below, and I'm sure I'll be back sometime soon with another video. Cheers.